Initially, I was going to ask you, what car do you think that I'm in today? But obviously, if you've clicked on this video, you've seen in the title that I'm in the new BMW M5. But you see, it wasn't always going to be the M5 for today's review. I went to pick up the BMW X3 and there was a problem with the booking. So guess what they gave me instead? Yeah, this M5, which after a week of driving, I can easily say this is the everyday supercar. One thing that I like, but some may not, is the M5 styling. You see, at first glance, when you first look at it, it doesn't look like it's all that. Sure, it looks sporty, but it definitely doesn't look like any supercar. It's when you get closer to look at some of the smaller details that you can really appreciate the M5. Of course, you have the signature double kidney grille. You have standard BMW adaptive LED lights. Standard are 20-inch wheels. These ones are the machined black and silver wheels. You can get all black as well. I think it would look better all black, but that's just my opinion. The M5 now comes with a carbon fiber roof, so there is no sunroof if you get the carbon fiber roof. These wheels are wrapped in Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's. They're quite large at 285 by 35 20-inch wheels. And on the back you have the small little trunk lip spoiler. This has the optional black exhaust and it has a really nice diffuser. One of the criteria to be an everyday supercar, you need to be practical. Power trunk, kick activated, that's practical, and a huge trunk. Sorry for the mess, it's fall, so there's a lot of leaves and things that have gotten here. Of course, there's my trusty camera bag. It's not that big, but even as far in, yeah, no problem. You can put even scooters and toys in here. It goes very deep. Like I said, it has a very subdued styling. It doesn't scream, look at me, look at me. In fact, other than the bright blue paint job, it just looks like a really good looking sports sedan. Okay, I have to be honest, I haven't driven a BMW for a while. I've owned 3 of them. I had 2 X3s and a 335 Xi Coupe with a 6-speed manual. Love that car. It's one of the cars that I wish I never ever would have gotten rid of. But one criticism that I had with those BMWs, I thought the interiors were a little bit plain, and even the models after that, they didn't really change it up too much. This one really is a nice surprise. It has a nice freshened look. Behind the steering wheel, the instrument cluster now is a digital display. What I like about it, unlike other manufacturers that have just went for a digital dash, like maybe just an actual display, like a square display, kind of like how Mercedes has it, this one has some shape to it, which I like. They're mixing digital with kind of some, not analog components, but there is like a 3D look to it. So it gives it a little bit more texture. As you look and feel your way around this, first of all, there's so many different combinations you can buy in materials, different type of seating materials. This is the merino leather. Then you have the carbon fiber. These seats, I gotta tell you, I've always been a fan of BMW sports seats. These really take it to the next level. There's so many adjustments. You have thigh adjustments. I love these, not just your side bolsters, but you have these extended shoulder wings. They really help give you some support, and everything's adjustable. This is also equipped with a massaging feature for the front seats as well. The fit and finish is top notch, like all BMWs. That's what I loved about my BMWs. Even though the styling was a little bit on the plain side, their type of materials that they use, and like I said, the fit and finish were always really good. Now, onto the center part of the screen. This to me is a game changer. Of course, you're gonna say, hey, this is the M5, it's all about driving. And yes, but for me, I'm thinking the people that own this M5, a lot of them could be professionals. Let's say they're driving this to and from the office to work, and they're doing business. So connectivity is important to them. Comfort's important to them. It's not just all about speed. So why is this a game changer? Because here is my phone here. First of all, it does have a wireless charging tray. I can throw my phone in there to charge, or it could be in my pocket, doesn't matter. But this screen, you have iDrive, which you can write on as well, like a tablet, but the screen is also a touch screen. And check this out. Yes, this is Apple CarPlay. That's not that unusual, right? But what's unusual is there's no cord. Of course, there's a USB, you can plug your phone in, but as soon as you sync it up to your system, it just comes on. It's great. I could be talking on the phone while I'm walking to the car. I start the car, it automatically just diverts right to the Apple CarPlay. I can use my maps at the same time. Everything's there, and where that's handy, first of all, it's seamless integration, but a lot of times I forget my cable. Or I always find that the cars that have wireless charging and the Apple CarPlay, well, it's kind of redundant. The fact is that if I'm going to charge, then I'm not going to plug it in. And if I'm going to plug it in, well, I don't need the wireless charging. Well, this, you get the best of both worlds. You can wirelessly charge and you're hooked to the Apple CarPlay. Here's a little bit of bad news though. If you're an Android user, BMW doesn't support Android Auto and this wireless system. I don't know why. Maybe it's coming down the pipe. And even though I'm an Apple user, I do think that they might be missing out a little bit because there are a lot of Android users out there. Then you get to the M steering wheel, and steering straight at you, you can't miss it. There are two bright red M buttons, M1 and M2, and those are your memory M settings, your dynamic setting, let's say, and we'll talk about those in a little bit. So overall, the front cabin, it's the right mix of everything for me. It's not too flashy. It's very usable. And like I said, that wireless Apple CarPlay system, that's a huge win for me. And yeah, you don't have to get an M5 to get that. I'm sure that's going to be available down the line, but it sure is nice to have it in this one. You know, this BMW M5 is actually two cars in one. The first car, it's what we're using it for, what we've used it for the whole week. It's a good all-arounder, good family car. We've got one little one in the back, the other one's in kindergarten, but all week I've been picking them up, dropping them off at school, at dance, at skating. We've been doing all the different activities and using this scooter at the park. So it handles everyday duties like any nice luxury sedan would. You have all the creature comforts. We talked about how comfortable these seats are, but the backup camera, you have the 360-degree view. You have this really neat side view, which superimposes the car, and you can actually look on either side of it. It's pretty wild. I really like that. As well, you have all the parking aids, and it really has a nice solid feel when you're driving in traffic, and it's just really easy to drive. Why? Because it has a twin-turbo V8 engine, puts out 600 horsepower, but you wouldn't know it if you're driving in regular day traffic. Now, we're stopped at a light here. Another nice feature, it has auto hold. I can take my foot off the brake and it's just going to hold me really nice in traffic. Also, it has a lot of driving aids. If I turn on the cruise control and the lane keeping, it has active stop and go. So it's like a radar cruise control with stop and go. So when you're in that gridlock traffic, it'll basically drive for you. And if you're doing a lot of commutes, we live in the Vancouver area in British Columbia, Canada, and the roads here in the morning and the afternoons suck. They really do. The traffic is awful. And this type of feature, regardless if it's in a BMW or any other vehicle, if you're doing that type of drive, definitely opt for that option. It's worth it. So we mentioned 600 horsepower, 553 pound-feet of torque. So the horsepower has been upped by 40 horsepower over the previous model, and the torque is up by over 50 pound-feet as well. That's matched to an all-new, instead of a dual clutch transmission, they've went to a conventional automatic transmission. It's an 8-speed, and I've talked to some other people and asked them why companies are going this route, and I've been told that it's easier, they're stronger, they can handle more power, it's easier to package it in a car, and that kind of makes sense. On top of the shift lever, you have 2 buttons, an up and a down button, 3 little bars, and what that is you can adjust your transmission on how fast it reacts, how aggressive it shifts, up or down shifts. And if you have it just at the very bottom, right now, the motor is in efficient mode. The suspension, which we'll talk about in a second, is in comfort, and the steering is in comfort, and the transmissions, it's just gonna be nice and smooth and silky and what you'd expect. This also has auto start stop, so it's gonna help save a little bit of fuel for your pocketbook. Here's one big new thing for the M5. This one now is equipped with MX drive. So it's all-wheel drive. It's a rear bias system, but when you need the traction, and especially when you get into the performance modes where you want all that traction at launch, plus using it as an everyday vehicle like we have been, guess what? Throw on winter tires on this thing and you have an all-season performer. So you don't even need a different vehicle, just change the tires. You get all-wheel drive. Here's a good test. We are going through a construction zone right now. They've just totally chopped up the road. It's nasty. And the suspension, it's very compliant. Nice thing having this much power, even just under efficient mode, is it just drives like a really nice V8 powered touring sedan. You barely have to push that pedal down to get this thing up to speed. It's effortless. Absolutely effortless. Now we get to explore the second car you get with the M5. Okay, so I put into Sport Plus mode right there. This does have launch control, like I mentioned. 0 to 60, just over 3 seconds. And if that's not fast enough for you, there's a competition M5 model. It has a little bit a different look for the appearance package, but they've actually tweaked the same engine that we have here, and they squeeze out another like 20 horsepower, and so 0 to 60 is even quicker on that. This is plenty quick. So the 2 red M buttons on the steering wheel, you have the M1, M2, and what they are, they're just kind of shortcut keys, basically. So if you have a different driving style that you like and you want to access that quickly, you can just program those buttons and hit it. Just think of it like a macro for your remote control. So M1 right now, if I hit M1, I have it set as sport engine, comfort for suspension, and sport steering. Transmission, you can also change that, and you can change it to all different types of aggressiveness or responsiveness, and also manual or automatic. So you can have, okay, I want everything like that, but I want it to shift manually, either from the middle console shifter or through the paddles. M2, I've maxed out everything. So Sport Plus for engine mapping, Sport Plus for suspension, and for steering. You definitely really want to be going a little bit quicker and doing quite spirited driving, especially for the steering. It's quite heavy with the Sport Plus setting, and you can see we're kind of bouncing around on the road here because the suspension is quite stiff in this setting. But I've got it set right now, the transmission's at its most aggressive setting, and it really holds the gears really long. You got those downshifts. Now the transmission, it's not as quick to shift up or down as a dual clutch per se, but it's plenty fast, and it's quite intuitive on what you're doing. It is fun driving this around in Sport Plus just because the engine is so responsive at this point. You just feel like you're connected. Your foot is connected directly to that engine. You press, there's such a minimal delay. And then you have that sound of the V8. I must admit though, there are other performance vehicles out there, V8 powered, that I think sound better, like the Mercedes AMG vehicles and their V8s, or that Jaguar F-Type SVR that I just tested. Man, oh man, those sound beautiful. The kids like the sound. They think it sounds like a Tiger. So tell me what you like about this car.
I like the Tiger. I like the Tiger. I like the Tiger. I like the Tiger.
So, you know, they like the popping and stuff. So let's just give it a little Tiger right now. Yeah, it's just not quite there, but that's what makes this kind of like the ultimate sleeper. You see, when you're driving this around, you think people might be looking at you and looking at this car because you know how special it is, but in actual fact, you're the only one that knows that you are driving something special. It doesn't look like it's all that. It doesn't really have a lot of sound like all that. Sure, if you really open it up, but you're probably not going to be doing it on the street, maybe if you have a wide open area. I'm not even gonna comment on how this M5 handles at high speeds or how it can drift, because truthfully, you just can't do that on the streets, especially here. You know, this vehicle, it's really at home on the Autobahn where it can really stretch its legs. Here, yeah, you basically have to shut it down as fast as you light it up. It's like a little bit quick burst and then you're on the blinders, or else you're gonna risk probably getting some huge fines or maybe even some jail time. Seriously, it's that quick. You have a lot of power. Like I said, 600 horsepower. There's rumors out there that people are saying that this vehicle is pushing actually somewhere north of 700 horsepower, not 6. And that wouldn't surprise me because BMW has kind of been known to kind of underrate their motors. If you're one of the purists that say, I don't want all-wheel drive for my M5, don't worry. You can go into the settings and you can actually turn the xDrive off and run this as a rear-wheel drive vehicle. And you can even drift it. Check out these images I have here of this M5 just basically just hanging it out there. This car is a great cruising vehicle. Of course, you have a longer wheelbase, so it's super stable at higher speeds. But you know, at the end of the day, no one needs a 600 horsepower vehicle. Seriously, no one does. But if you can afford it, why not? Especially if you want to experience the ultimate BMW driving experience. All right, I think I've talked enough. As you can see behind me, someone's actually been bored to sleep with my yap. So I'll leave you with some more fabulous images of this M5. This M5, in my opinion, is the full meal deal. It gives you everything. You have the 600 horsepower, you have the drivability, you have the all-wheel drive system, luxurious massaging seats, all the technology, lots of room in the trunk, and of course, 4 doors. I could see myself driving this every day. In fact, if I ordered one, it would pretty well be exactly like this. I love the blue color. It starts at $113,000, and this one, as tested, goes for about 129,000 Canadian, which is a little bit out of my price range. However, let me do a quick calculation here. If I can get 482,698 of you to watch this video, I might be able to afford one. If you like the video, hit the thumbs up, and if you want to see more everyday reviews, hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.